Welcome to an edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, the Islander, and this is the results show for the past 3 weeks, as well as some news and preview of at least one fight this coming week. It's been a while, and part of the reason why it's taken me so long to do some of these shows, I know you're sick of excuses and stuff, is that I've just been pretty busy at work, like some of you have been pretty busy at school. And I guess one of the multiple questions of the week is, where in the hell is Avellino 79? Dial Day has reappeared. EGA has come forward as a strong contender on the message board or channel comments. Let me go over a couple of results and then some news that just popped up that I want to read to you right off the web, because it just has me feeling in a celebratory mood. All right, going way back when, fight that I never gave you a prediction on. If I would have probably predicted the outcome to be very similar to the way it was, and that was Miguel Cotto scoring a 12th round stoppage over Ricardo Mayorga in a fight that started off good for Cotto and then had some very anxious moments in about the 7th round when Mayorga was teeing off on him, and then it was kind of nip and tuck from there. But the better class of fighter and the better cleaner scoring punches were scored by Cotto, in which he finally in the 12th round when he cranked that left hook off of Mayorga's head and made him take a knee. I didn't expect Mayorga just to give in like he did, but I guess an accumulation of the punches, as well as the fact that he could never get Cotto to leave his game plan and stand still in front of him. Very good, very disciplined fight for Cotto. I still don't think he is what he used to be before Margarito, and definitely not what he was before Pacquiao. They're talking about a fight with him and Margarito, and I don't think it's in his best interest, because Margarito's still bigger than him, is still stronger than him, and is still not going to be able, no matter what Cotto does, he's not going to be able to hurt Margarito in that fight. And in any event, the other thing I was going to go, that's pretty much all I have to say about that fight. But on that same weekend on HBO, a fight between Sergey Zinzurek, moving up in weight to challenge linear was WBC and WBO middleweight champion Sergio Martinez, in a very surprising fight that I expected to be very technically sound like it was, but I didn't expect it to have as much contact in it as it did. And this is like, I think even in a losing effort, Zinzurek showed us that he's somebody to be contended with at a low weight. He obviously was out of his element fighting Martinez, who is a full-fledged, has grown into a full-fledged middleweight from over 10 years ago when he was a welterweight against Margarito, to his coming of age in the junior middleweight division, to really coming into the top 10 pound for pound, and now the top 5 pound for pound in the the middleweight division. And Zinzurek was outsized and outgunned in this fight, and what was surprising was that Martinez got another stoppage, basically putting Zinzurek on the deck 5 times. One of them was kind of questionable, but it didn't matter. The fight was dominated by Martinez, who was able to keep Zinzurek from landing his jab, which was one of the things I told you in the preview show he had to do. But the punishment that accumulated on Zinzurek was of that of a top flight pound-for-pound fighter. And another awesome win for Martinez. This is back-to-back with a 2nd round crushing knockout over Paul Williams, coupled with the decision win over Kelly Pavlik, who I really would like to see those two have a rematch if Pavlik can get out of rehab and get his life back on track. A little bit of news about Kelly Pavlik is he is going to be fighting on the undercard of the Manny Pacquiao-Shane Mosley fight coming in May. Very good win for Sergio Martinez. Now we skipped forward, also in that same realm, I guess the following weekend, or in that same week, Guillermo Rigondeaux retained his junior featherweight title with a 1st round stoppage over Willie Casey over in Dublin, Ireland. This was basically a mismatch. He scored 3 knockdowns. A far cry from his fight against, it was a terrible fight against Ricardo Cordoba, in which he won this interim WBA junior featherweight title. But I felt that this was really the Cuban showing his skills, and we're going to talk more about this with Cuba and their fighters moving forward, because in the next fight, which I wish I would have done a preview show, was Vitali Klitschko, Vitali as we call him, taking on Oldemir Solis. And one of the big things about this was televised on the Epix network, which people who have DirecTV don't get. And of course, if you signed up for their free trial online, they'll show you all the shitty movies in the world that you want to see, but you can't see this fight. And luckily it was uploaded really quick, because obviously the fight was really quick. If I was to have previewed this fight, I thought that Solis had a better than average chance of winning this fight. And from the 2 minutes and 40 semi-seconds of action that we got, it looked like to me that Solis gave probably more than he took. And I couldn't understand it, because as I was watching it, and again there's a lot of background on this fight now with the way it ended. Obviously you all know that to me Solis was outlanding Klitschko in the first round, and when they came together, Klitschko bounced a kind of a roundhouse right hand off his temple, and immediately his legs gave out, or his knees gave out. And I personally, I think the punch knocked his equilibrium off, and his knees and legs gave. A delayed reaction, he went stumbling backwards, and his knee came out from underneath him. He went flat on the ground, and he immediately started clutching his right knee. Now what puzzles me is he got up and he was putting weight on that. I watched it over 100 times, and it looked like he was putting weight on that leg and not weight on his left leg, and then switched him up. I don't know. I'm not claiming he wasn't hurt or didn't tear ligaments, because I think he did. More importantly, I fear that the fight was called off right then and there when he could barely stand up. And the Klitschkos and the German fans were obviously, Vitali Klitschko and the German fans were obviously very upset about this. But what I'm willing to wager, and also I'm waiting to find out, is whether or not Solis knew he had these injuries to his knee and went through with the fight anyway. And one thing that actually lends credence to this theory, and other people who have thought the same thing as I did, is the manner in which Solis was fighting. In his previous fights, he's not giving ground to bigger guys. He's basically up in their kitchen, inside their punches. In this fight, he's basically tiptoeing around the ring at a distance, waiting to counterpunch, which generally isn't his. How is he going to basically do that for 12 rounds against Vitali Klitschko when Klitschko's got the reach advantage on him? Now he did strike Klitschko in the face a few times with a couple of right hands, but the thing was, they were just these wild punches from the outside, which he was not going to be able to win this fight from the outside anyway. And that's why I think he had something wrong with his knee to begin with. The other thing too is he weighs in at 245, 246 pounds. I think that's a bit too much for somebody who's about my height, who's about 6'1". And one of you, I think it was Hitman Conan, or one of you guys wrote on my channel comments. Maybe not. It was one of you guys, but anyway, wrote that he's been as high as like 275, and that his knees aren't made to take that. And I agree 100%. I don't think it's no wonder his knees gave out. I mean, the guy is pushing an envelope of weight that he shouldn't be. That's just my opinion on it. Let me find out just to make sure I'm giving everybody credit who needs credit here. Yeah, we're going to address the bum comments. Super Gunner 07, that's who it was. I'm sorry, Hitman. Super Gunner 07 wrote that I was spot on. The knee can only take so much. He has been 271 recently for someone 6'1", making him obese. The sad part of all this is because he's actually very talented, and that was one of the things I was going to say. His talent level and his amateur experience does not translate into professional experience. He really has done nothing to deserve this shot at this title. Knocking out Monty Barrett ain't nothing. Monty Barrett was able to knock down David Tua. I mean, it's not, anything can happen in a boxing ring. The fact that Vladimir Klitschko knocked out Ray Austin without ever throwing a right hand, and Ray Austin was in a, Solis was in a real tough struggle with Ray Austin until Austin was disqualified in the 10th round for low blows, doesn't tell me he's ready to be fighting the Klitschkos. but his wealth of experience in the amateurs, Olympics, all that stuff, sometimes it actually helps him in the fact that he is he's just very talented, and I think that if he was healthy, this fight could have gone either way. Neither here nor there, because it went 2 minutes and 40-something seconds. All right. Also on that weekend, Lucian Bute scored a 10th round TKO over Brian McGee, in which he scored multiple knockdowns along the way and really used a savage body attack to take McGee's legs away and take his will away. A lot of people are getting excited about Lucian Bute. I know a lot of you are big fans of his. I'm not 100% sold on him, and I'll tell you why. One, he's a very big super middleweight who is preying on smaller ones, and his only real test was that first fight with Labrado Andrade. Otherwise, he is fighting what I would call par to subpar competition. I know he's fought Saki Obika, but he never really engaged him. You know, that Barrios guy was in over his head. He's not fighting Super 6 competition, is what I'm saying. He's not in with the Frosches, the Abrahams, the Wards. I wouldn't even say Alan Green, just leave him out. But those type of fighters. And I think a lot is going to, tell when the person from that tournament emerges and actually fights Lucian Bute, because that person is going to be, in my opinion, far more seasoned with World Championship quality competition when those two meet. I think Lucian Bute has a fantastic chance of upending whoever comes out of that tournament. But I'm starting to fear that he is being fed a steady diet of subpar challenges. And one of the things I wanted to compare this to, and I know a lot of you are going to get really angry with me, but for all the people out there who have nothing but bad things to say about Joe Calzaghe, when you say he defended his title 20 times and they say he fought a bunch of nobodies, the same thing in some respects can be said about Lucian Bute. He's racking up title defense after title defense against what I would call nondescript opponents, with the exception of Labrado Andrade, who he fought twice. All the rest of them are just people that are not household names, not even casual to regular boxing fans know who some of these fighters are. But all in all, it was a good performance, and we'll see if he's going to pay the price when he does go up against a unified champion in this division. From what I understand, there is talk that they're trying to put a fight together between Mikkel Kessler, and who's, I guess, basically bowing out of the Super 6 tournament, or he's still recovering from injury, and Lucian Bute, which will be his first very strong test. And the reason I say this is Mikkel Kessler handled Labrado Andrade with virtual ease. He didn't need a second fight with him to get rid of him. He handled him with virtual ease. I know Kessler's been worn down a little bit since then, but he will be, as far as his boxing skills and his power and his ability to think in the ring, the sternest test of Bute's career. Moving along to this past week, Yuriorkis Gamboa took on what was thought to be a solid test for him in Jorge Solis. Now, Jorge Solis, if you remember correctly, about 3 years ago, got a pay-per-view fight in the junior lightweight division against Manny Pacquiao, and he made a good account of himself in the Alamo Dome against Manny Pacquiao before finally getting stopped, knocked out in the 8th round. No harm in that. Some of you, like what's his name, Ring Warrior 12, want to use the term, bum. Well, I'll ask you this, Ring Warrior 12. If Jorge Solis is a bum, then why is it taking your guy, Manny Pacquiao, twice as long to get rid of a bum as it is, Yuriorkis Gamboa? So I mean, that should sit favorably with you if I'm thinking along the correct lines, right? Basically we have a bum, and Manny Pacquiao was fighting a bum, and it took him 8 rounds to get rid of him, but Yuriorkis Gamboa blew him out more impressively in 4 rounds. So don't go calling these guys bums. I mean, the guy's a decent fighter who's just in with elite competition and got killed. That's pretty much it. Look, what can we say about this? I personally think that Gamboa is going to tear through the featherweight division. I don't think that Juan Ma really stands, he stands a decent chance of catching Gamboa with something, but at the same time, both, I think at fighting down in the featherweight division, Gamboa is so much stronger than he was in the junior lightweight division, where guys who were bigger were able to put him down. And now he's not as reckless anymore either. I think I take Gamboa over Juan Ma, especially seeing that Rafael Marquez, who was basically a bantamweight, fighting well above his best weight, was able to hurt Lopez really bad. If Gamboa lands that left hook on Juan Manuel Lopez, flat on his back, out cold. I'm just telling you, don't get excited about this fight, because I don't think it's going to be that good of a fight to begin with, unless Juan Ma scores first, which he could. In regards to Gamboa, we're going around with this trinket of a WBA belt. No fault to his. I think they need to make the fight to get the real champion in that division, in that organization, between him and Chris John. Chris John is scheduled to fight that Daud Yordan, who lost a one-sided fight to Celestino Caballero, and I think he's the one that was in the no contest with what the heck is that guy's name? He's fighting real soon. Another one of Golden Boy's pugs. It don't matter. In any event, Chris John and Daud Yordan are fighting in Indonesia, which is probably a real easy fight to make, being that they're both from Indonesia. How he's ranked in this division, I don't know, but the WBA should force Chris John to fight Gamboa, and I think that would be a more intriguing fight than Gamboa against Juan Ma Lopez. Just an incredible victory for Gamboa. All right, this weekend coming up, there is a battle between rematch, Mexicali, Mexico, on Integrated Sports pay-per-view, between Giovanni Segura, the unified junior 108-pound champion, and former pound-for-pound entrant, Ivan Ironboy Calderon. The first fight, as you remember, was a candidate for Fight of the Year last year, in which Segura went to Puerto Rico and stopped Calderon in the 8th round, made him take a knee and stay down for a 10 count, wearing him down. Most conventional wisdom would tell you that basically a similar thing is going to happen in this fight. It may take a little bit longer, it may take a little bit less, but there's one X factor, and that is the fact that Segura is having a lot of trouble making the 108-pound limit. And the Calderon people were stern about having this fight at 108 pounds, because Calderon is at a significant size disadvantage, being that he came up from 105, and Segura is really a true 112 type fighter, and he held considerable size advantages in the first fight. Let's be clear on what's going to happen in this fight. One, Segura is going to come at Calderon and throw lots of punches again. Two, Calderon cannot hurt Segura, can't keep him off of him. The better question would be is if Calderon has figured out, I hit Segura, I tie him up, I get away, reset, do the same thing over and over and over, make it a boring fight. It's the only way he can win this fight. He's not winning a close decision, he's not winning by stoppage, he's not winning by cuts, I don't think, because the fight's in Mexico and it's going to take a whole lot for them to stop this fight. I believe Segura is going to probably win this fight either a round or two later by stoppage or a round or two earlier by stoppage, or pound out a decision. I just don't see. I think all of the years, even though there's not been a lot of damage put on Calderon because of how brilliantly defensively skilled he is, all the years and all the miles that are on his legs and his knees from basically moving him around the ring out of harm's way are starting to add up. He's not getting out of the way of a broad-shouldered fighter who is basically keeping him within his periphery and just looking to land on his arms and shoulders, which eventually turns into landing on the body and the head. And that's what happened in that first fight. Calderon was doing well in the beginning of that first fight. Segura eventually poured it on and overtook him, and it was only a matter of time after about the 5th round of when that fight was going to end. And I'm looking at Segura to take this fight. In the news, a couple of little tidbits in the news as my screensaver keeps coming on. One bit is that I guess there's been a case made that, or a site picked out for Hopkins and Pascal 2, which is going to be at the Bell Center in Montreal. Not surprising. I think, in fairness to Hopkins, although he can't sell tickets, the fight probably should be held, you know, in the United States, because he got ripped off the first time. Come on, computer. Okay. Next little bit of news, and this is what made me happy this morning, and you can see by my comment on the channel. Title of this article is Top Rank Wins Donaire Promotional Rights Ruling. Let me read this to you real quick. Top Rank scored a victory Tuesday in its legal battle with rival promoter Golden Boy over the promotional rights to unified bantamweight title holder Nonito Donaire. 2 weeks ago, Golden Boy signed Donaire to an exclusive multi-year agreement, although Top Rank claimed he was still under contract to Bob Arum's company. If you remember, I told you this on my channel comments. On Tuesday, Top Rank announced that arbitrator Daniel Weinstein, a retired judge, had prohibited Golden Boy from promoting Donaire for the duration of Top Rank's exclusive promotional agreement. According to Top Rank, the ruling paves the way for it to continue promoting Donaire. Top Rank signed Donaire to a 3-year promotional agreement in June of 2008. Do the math. That 3 years is coming up in June. Okay. The deal, according to Top Rank, also contained a provision for a 1-year extension, which Top Rank says it had exercised last month, making the extension June of 2012. Okay? I think the fighter should know this. I think the fighter's manager should know this. Cameron Duncan. Okay? Let's continue on with this. After Donaire scored the biggest win of his career in February, a resounding second-round knockout of Fernando Montiel to collect 2 of the 118-pound titles in his HBO debut, Top Rank said it picked up the year extension and began making plans for Donaire's next fight, a proposed May 28th return to HBO against an opponent to be determined, which I was telling you should probably have been Anselmo Moreno, and they were talking about that in the San Francisco Bay Area. Let's continue. Shortly thereafter, Donaire signed with Golden Spooge. Okay? That's not in the article. I'm just editing. Okay? Weinstein, the arbitrator, is very familiar with ongoing problems between Golden Boy and Top Rank. He oversaw a June 2007 settlement between the companies on a variety of lawsuits, including the one pertaining to the promotional rights of Manny Pacquiao, who was under contract to Top Rank when Golden Boy signed him. Why did this all sound familiar? You know, you wonder. Under the settlement, Top Rank retained Pacquiao's promotional rights, with Golden Boy due a percentage of the revenue from his fights. The companies are embroiled in a recent lawsuit over that revenue and how long it goes on for. Okay, that's my add to it. As part of the settlement, Weinstein oversaw the companies agreed not to poach each other's fighters. So after Golden Boy signed Donaire, Top Rank took its grievance to Weinstein. Quote, unquote, "We are pleased with Judge Weinstein's carefully considered decision," Top Rank attorney Daniel Petroselli said in a statement. Top Rank hopes it can put the lawyers and the legal fight behind it and return to doing what it does best, promoting the most talented boxers and the most entertaining boxing matches in the world today. Alright, it gets better from here. "I do not comment on pending legal action," Golden Boy CEO Richard Schaefer told ESPN.com in an email. Golden Boy president Oscar De La Hoya also declined comment. Donaire's manager, Cameron Duncan, could not be reached for comment. After Donaire, 26-1, 18 knockouts, knocked out Montiel, he claimed he was a free agent. At least two promoters who wanted to remain anonymous told ESPN.com that they talked to the Donaire camp but elected not to make him an offer because they believed that Top Rank's agreement with him was still valid. But Golden Boy decided to sign him. Donaire, 28, a native of the Philippines living in Northern California, is a former flyweight title holder and interim junior bantamweight titleist. His knockout of Montiel propelled him into the top 5 on most pound-for-pound list. Okay. What does this tell you? That Golden Shower's promotion is like classless POS, capital P, capital O, capital S, it stands for piece of shit, promotional company. They'll do anything to steal everybody else's fighters. I don't understand why Did they show up to Donaire with a couple of briefcases full of money? Did they open up a closet the size of Imelda Marcos's of shoes and show Donaire's wife, you can have this if your husband signs with our company? Or is Ring Warrior 12 right? Donaire's just an idiot. I mean, it could be all of the above. Maybe it is all of the above. But the fact remains, he did the same thing to Gary Shaw in a similar way, except I think his contract was up. And if you wonder why, Gary Shaw said after each Darchinian fight, when Showtime interviews him, like Jim Greg in the ring, and this says, Vic, how would you like to, avenge your loss to Nonito Donaire? Gary Shaw will always jump in and say, look, he goes, we don't give fights to the what does he say? The disloyal. We don't give fights to the ungrateful, the disloyal, dissidents, whatever he says, descendants, dissonants. And it's the same thing. I mean, he's got no reason to leave Top Rank. He's getting paid good, he's getting good exposure. I mean, some people saying they kept him on the shelf. It's not easy making fights in the lighter weight division that make money. Okay? He's gotten a fight with Montiel, which he got his career high payday. He got a fight with Sidorenko, basically another decent, pretty good payday. It's nothing but the sky from here. And I love how Golden Boy can't get people from basically either a title-winning effort or from their pro debut to superstardom. They like stealing other promoters' fighters away and then putting them into stardom. And the other thing I heard was that I don't know how true this was, or the report was that Juan Manuel Marquez is considering pulling a Shane Mosley, and that is saying adios to Golden Spooge so that he can get a third fight with Pacquiao, because it has been made clear that any fighter associated with Golden Boy probably is not getting a fight with Pacquiao, because any fight that Golden Boy's fighters, at least according to this agreement, any fight that Golden Boy's fighters have with Pacquiao, Golden Boy gets to be the title promoter, the big title promoter with Top Rank and small print under it as part of that agreement. So, look, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world is Manny Pacquiao. His promoter's Top Rank. Why in the world would they cede any of their promotional, power or anything else to Golden Boy? And you think about it, they've got fighters, a whole bunch of fighters in their stable. This could go on for years before they have to go to another promoter for a fighter. I mean, there's still the Lou DiBellas, the Gary Shaws, the likes of Cedric Kushner, the main events, the Duvas, all those people all have fighters that could be, lined up to fight Manny Pacquiao before a Golden Boy fighter ever gets another chance at it. And I think them making fights with Margarito, them making fights with Shane Mosley, them making fights with Joshua Clottey has proven to anybody who fights for Golden Boy, we may never get a shot at this guy. Especially Juan Manuel Marquez, who's already had two very close fights that he, in my mind, probably deserved to win. Although I don't think if they fight again over 135 pounds, it's even going to be, it's not even going to be competitive, in my opinion. At 135 and under, it's competitive. Over, it's not. So that's my thoughts on this whole thing, and I'm just very happy that I guess intelligent minds and heads prevailed in this matter and said, Golden Spooge, you can't go just stealing Top Rank's fighters. We're sorry. That's going to do it for this show. Hopefully be back sometime soon if some other breaking news comes through. Thanks, everybody.